Hello, Sarah Southgate here, your perimenopausal naturopath, and I'm talking about vaginas and orgasms again. If my teenagers ever get onto Facebook, which they probably won't, they're probably going to kill me or die of shame. But this is really important, and this is why I'm talking about it. Because for many women, as we go into perimenopause, vaginal dryness and even worse, vaginal atrophy can be a problem. So vaginal atrophy is where the walls of the vagina thin and they become inflamed and dry, and it's can be quite painful. It's not a pleasant condition to have. So let's talk about things today that we can do to avoid this happening. And very much when we are talking about vaginal dryness in perimenopause and avoiding that vaginal atrophy, we are in a situation of use it or lose it with our vaginas, okay? So by using our vaginas to have sex and have orgasms, we are increasing the blood flow to our sexual organs. Now, vaginas are naturally lubricated, and a big part of that lubrication comes with the blood flow. So when we stimulate blood flow to the pelvic area, which we do when we are aroused and have an orgasm, then that improves your lubrication. So it follows, therefore, if you are wanting to protect your vagina from dryness, you need to do more of that natural lubrication, encouraging that to happen. When you have more blood flow to any area of the body, you are also bringing more nutrients to that area of the body and making it function more healthily and better. And that applies just as much to your liver as it does to your vagina. Okay, so orgasms are really important in perimenopause. One of the things that happens obviously in perimenopause is estrogen declines. Now, estrogen is one of the hormones that helps with vaginal fluid secretion. So if we want to compensate for that, we need to think about other ways. So we've covered how orgasm helps with vaginal fluid secretion, but also keeping yourself properly hydrated with water, right, is really important for the hydration of your whole body. Having less caffeine is really important for the hydration of your whole body. Having less alcohol, so caffeine and alcohol both dehydrate you. And interestingly, dehydration can mimic symptoms of perimenopause. So water, and relying on water as your primary source of hydration, not coffee or decaffeinated coffee or decaffeinated tea, but water as your primary source of hydration is really, really important. So those things are things that you can do to help lubricate and look after your vagina in perimenopause. And the other thing that's really helpful is essential fatty acids. So that they come from oily fish, so salmon, mackerel, herring, anchovies. They also come from nuts and seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, flaxseed. They're all really full of essential fatty acids. They are naturally anti-inflammatory. Remember, perimenopause is an inflammatory state because of the lack of estrogen, and that puts us into a low-grade, long-term inflammatory state. So we need to be eating to compensate for that. Flaxseed does that. Nuts and seeds are anti-inflammatory. They provide those good fats, okay, which help not just to lubricate the vagina, but also the eyes. Some women get dry eyes in perimenopause. I'm one of those women. So if you ever see me looking a bit bleary and red in the eyes, that's because my eyes are playing up. Essential fatty acids, more water, less caffeine, less alcohol. The other thing that you might be unaware of that can contribute to a dry vagina is medication. So it's a side effect. Dryness is a side effect of antihistamine. Obviously, antihistamine is trying to dry up all your snot and your tears that come along when you are having an allergic reaction. So antihistamines can contribute to dry vagina, as can taking the pill, as can antidepressants. So if you're taking any of those medications, have a look at the side effects. Hello Lorna, I bet you never thought you'd catch me on Facebook talking about perimenopausal vaginas. Lorna and I went to school together many moons ago. Hello, we're getting some love here for the perimenopausal vagina. I'm liking that. So if you're taking medication, check the side effects. Hello, Sarah. Check the side effects, because medication can make your vagina dry, okay? So it's really important that you are looking at what you're eating as well as what you're taking and what you're drinking, so that you are looking after your perimenopausal body. So yeah, so less caffeine, more water, check your medication, eat essential fatty acids, and then think about how you can benefit your body, not just for the pelvic blood flow that orgasm gives you, but orgasm is actually protective for your health. So estrogen, having a lot of estrogen is one of the reasons why women suffer from less heart disease than men. Obviously, as we go into perimenopause and menopause, we lose that estrogen. That's completely natural. But did you know that having oxytocin, which is the hormone that we secrete when we have an orgasm, that protects us against heart disease, okay? When you have an orgasm, there are loads of really great benefits, one of which I would have loved to have seen the study, because what they found is that when you have an orgasm, it stimulates blood flow to all parts of your brain. Whereas other stuff like exercise or chilies or whatever, they only stimulate blood flow to certain parts of your brain. Now, they studied this by putting a woman in an MRI scanner and asking her to have an orgasm. So that must have been a very interesting study to be involved in. And crikey, the volunteers, man, they must have had balls of steel to do that. So anyway, but we know it's good for blood flow to the brain, which reminds me, I am doing a masterclass on bye-bye perimenopausal brain fog. That is tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. It's £8. We're going to talk about food and lifestyle techniques that can help you to get rid of the cotton wool that feels like it's filling your head and start to get your memory back. So I'll put the link to sign up to that in the comments. And I'm going to add orgasm to the list of things that you can do to look after your perimenopausal brain, as well as your perimenopausal vagina. What else? Yes, so orgasm is good for sleep. Okay, sleep can sometimes be disrupted in perimenopause. It's good for headaches, and it boosts the immune system, okay? So this is super good for us. We need to do more of this. Remember that when you are in perimenopause, your vagina is often in a use it or lose it state. So we need to use it so that we don't lose it, okay? To look after that vaginal tissue and keep it moist and stop that irritation, thinning and dryness that can happen. So just to sum that up, that is looking at the fluid, right? So your body naturally produces fluid, and estrogen promotes production of cervical fluid, which is largely the lubrication that happens in your vagina. That and the lubricants that come from the Bartholin glands, which are at the entrance to the vagina, which produce more fluid when you are aroused, okay? So more fluid, arousal, the two go together. Yeah, it's compensating for the lack of estrogen. So we do that by drinking more fluid, by eating more essential fatty acids, so your nuts, your seeds, your oily fish, taking a fish oil supplement. Those good fats are all anti-inflammatory. And remember, perimenopause is a naturally low-grade, long-term inflammatory state. And that's where many of these symptoms come from. Sarah, you've put carbs in the questions. Carbs, question mark, question mark, question mark. And I don't know what you mean. So do you want to expand on that for me, and I will answer you. My husband's just come home and I'm talking about orgasms on the internet. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, let's gloss over that. So, circulation to your pelvis, have lots of orgasms, protect yourself from heart disease, protect your vagina from dryness, look at your medication, antidepressants, antihistamines, the pill can all make you dry. So Sarah, if you have terrible eczema is also an inflammatory state. So it may well be that it's getting worse in perimenopause because your baseline layer of inflammation has gone up as your estrogen has gone down. So when I'm working with people on eczema, I am looking at essential fatty acid status, hydration status, inflammation status, food intolerance, nutrient status, what you're eating. So it really is, skin is a problem from the inside expressed on the outside of the body, but you don't have to live with your eczema. It is completely fixable and naturally, okay? So DM me if you want some more details about how we can do that together. So Sarah's question is, carbs are bad for menopausal eczema. It's if you're having a lot of sugar, that's not very helpful because sugar feeds bad bacteria and then your eczema can get infected. So one of the things with long-term eczema is actually one of the reasons it doesn't clear is because it's got a secondary bacterial infection on top. So you need to clear the bacterial infection, then you can clear the eczema. Carbs are more challenging in perimenopause because when you have got plenty of estrogen, your estrogen controls your insulin. So insulin is often associated with diabetes, but it's really, really important for perimenopausal women to understand the function of insulin, because estrogen, so insulin, we produce it every time we eat. It's completely normal. But estrogen keeps hold of the insulin, okay? It controls it, so we don't have too much. Because insulin is a hormone of inflammation, okay? And it is also a hormone of fat storage. Now, if we get rid of as our estrogen declines, there's nothing to oppose the insulin, so it just gets higher and higher, and it causes problems, okay? It causes problems in fat storage, causes problems in inflammation. It affects your mood, it affects your anxiety, so it has enormous wide-reaching effects for your body, and learning how to, if you don't have estrogen to control your insulin, then you can still control it. You can control it through the food that you eat, and that is what I teach in my group program, the Nourish Club. Doors are opening very soon, so keep your eyes peeled if you want to learn how to control your insulin, so that you can stop that creeping weight gain. You can even lose weight again. You can get your brain function back, and you can. Hello, Sarah Kersey. Hello, Christina. We are talking about perimenopausal vagina and orgasms. And my advice to you is have more orgasms, because orgasms prevent vaginal dryness. And vaginal dryness is a thing in perimenopause. Okay, there are lots of other symptoms of perimenopause, but two of the biggies are hot flushes and dry vaginas, neither of which are very nice. So the more orgasms you have, the more fluid you are secreting through your cervix and through the additional blood flow that comes into the pelvic area when you have an orgasm. That lubricates your vagina. It's so important, it's natural, and it's even fun, okay? So more orgasms is the order of the day. If you are a perimenopausal woman, you really are in a situation of use it or lose it. So we don't want to end up in a state where your vaginal walls have become thin and inflamed and dry. That is not nice. So it's better to use orgasm as a preventative strategy to look after your vagina, and not just orgasms, so fluids, making sure you're drinking enough water, stop the coffee. If you're relying on coffee and tea as your primary source of hydration, that is not healthy. We need water. Squeeze a bit of lemon juice in it, put a dash of apple cider vinegar in it, but the bottom line is, if you're going to be healthy, you need to rely on water as your primary source of hydration. So if you're 80% water, 20% teas and coffees, that's okay. If you're 80% teas and coffees, 20% water, it's not going to work for your health, let alone your vagina, okay? So we really need to up the hydration. The most common answer I get when I ask, how much water do you drink? And I ask every single person I work with, and have done since 2003. So I've had this answer a lot. How much do you drink? The answer is not enough. Okay, so we really need to up our water. Indeed, the symptoms of dehydration can mimic the symptoms of perimenopause. So, there are some very simple, natural things that we can do before we start having to think about medication, all of which comes with side effects and risks. Hello, Vivian. It's nice to see you. I'm talking about perimenopausal vaginas and orgasms, and how we can improve our pelvic health and prevent vaginal dryness happening by having more orgasms, drinking more water, and eating more essential fats, so those sunflower seeds and flax seeds and walnuts and oily fish, salmon, mackerel, herring, all of those things are really good to look after our body in the perimenopause. And I'll just tell you that study, that orgasm also is good for your perimenopausal brain. So they did a study on women having orgasms, and they put them in an MRI scanner, which must have been, well, quite a sight to behold. Anyway, what they found was orgasm stimulates blood flow to your entire brain, whereas exercise only stimulates it to certain areas of the brain, or, you know, certain happiness or whatever stimulates blood flow to certain parts of your brain. Orgasm gives you everything, okay? So it's enormously powerful, not just for your vagina, but for your brain, and it prevents heart disease, and it helps with diabetes, you know, so, and it helps to reduce stress. So what's not to like? Look after your perimenopausal vagina, drink more water, have more orgasms, and let me know what you think. I'll be back. Bye for now.